House of Representatives passing a new congressional map, giving Republicans an additional seat in the House ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. The proposed map would shift Missouri's congressional delegation to 7 Republicans and 1 Democrat, a change from its current delegation that is made up of 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats. The measure passed Missouri's State House 90-65, now heads to the state Senate. President Trump wrote this on Truth Social, to congratulate Missouri Republicans for backing what he called a, quote, much fairer and improved congressional map. Joining me now is Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. Congressman, this is now the 3rd state to pursue redistricting after Texas. Right. Some on the other side would say that this is just, mutually assured destruction between Democrats and Republicans. One state that leans Republican changes their map, and then, of course, California has stepped in. What do you make of this?
I mean, I was the majority leader in Wisconsin for 12 years in the Wisconsin Senate. And there was always an opportunity for state legislatures to weigh in the middle of that 10-year run. But no one touched it. No one went near it. So I think we all knew it was available. But it is kind of surprising. And I think a lot of members are watching it very closely from state to state to see just exactly how this ends up. But without those new census numbers, you're kind of shooting in the dark on some of this stuff. So I'll be surprised if kind of the trend continues. All right. Well, obviously, this is something that we're going to continue to follow. We're also following all the business in Washington right now. There's a lot going on. There is just 8 legislative days to a government shutdown. The White House is now asking, Congress, to extend the deadline to January 31st, just now a 4-month delay. Originally, the White House wanted, this a year for a CR. Then the stopgap funding bill, if it's passed, would continue federal funding of many Washington programs at the current fiscal year's level. But this comes on the heels of a 21-page list of funding anomalies detailing programs the administration says need different spending levels in the upcoming stopgap bill. What do you make of this change of negotiation and direction from the White House, and also the fact that they want to keep these agencies on autopilot until January? Yeah, Speaker Johnson brought this up at conference yesterday morning. He did not go with the January 31st date. He just started to, I think, kind of take the temperature of members on where we would be on a CR. So I guess, now that the number was released last night, we certainly understood that there's some back and forth going on with the White House on certain provisions. I think that's fine as long as we kind of get it nailed down and get it nailed down very quickly. Like you said, with 7 days, it's looming, and there's still a lot of negotiations to happen. No, we've had several lawmakers, some of your Republican colleagues have joined the program over the last few days, and they all support a CR. But this seems like a very short-term solution, simply because this means that you're going to have to go back and start negotiating again in November and December, and that's, you're pushing into the holidays. I mean, do you think that there could be a way to kind of split the story here, 6 months maybe? I think the story behind the story is that some of the most conservative members that typically were kind of arm's length from a CR and didn't really want to embrace any of that, they've kind of rallied around the idea at this point. So, I mean, that's really, I think, important, because we weren't sure kind of if there was enough momentum to get this done. And I think with January 31st kind of date out there now that the White House is floating, that'll help kind of move things along as well. All right. So what's on the docket for you today? What's most important, and what do you want to accomplish today on the Hill? We're working in financial services right now, and I think you guys have been tracking the Proxy advisor stuff. It's a bill that I've been working on. Listen, there's a couple of companies. It's a duopoly right now when you're talking about corporate governance. And, I know a lot of your members are tuned in to what's going on with the markets and certainly are involved in the markets. And it's a bill that I think needs to happen, and I'll be talking to members today to try and create some momentum for it. Let me fill in the blanks for our viewers if they're not aware of this bill that you've introduced. So it would stop proxy advisors from imposing ESG
on U.S. companies. So, and this is something that I think it's fair to say that we've already seen a lot on Wall Street move away from ESG practices, not just even the European practices, but the U.S. practices more importantly. So obviously you're speaking to business leaders about this as well.
Absolutely. Listen, there's a lot of different maneuvers that have been going on kind of behind the scenes. I think that a lot of customers of many of these large corporations are unaware of. So it's something we're trying to expose. It's something we're talking about on the Hill. And once again, trying to create some momentum for today.
What about working with, say, members of, say, the SEC on something like this? I mean, we know from our vantage point of folks that have covered Wall Street for 30 years that there are a lot of guardrails and a lot of rules and regulations on advisors, financial advisors. Why add another layer to that?
Because 97% of all proxy advisors is two companies. It truly is something that is kind of alarming. And as a result of that, they can flex and exercise kind of a lot of power behind the scenes and have influence on things like you brought up the ESG stuff that quite honestly, they shouldn't be involved in the first place. So there seems to be a lot of support on the Financial Services Committee, and it's something I think that's long overdue.
Okay, well, we're certainly going to be following closely your work on that as well, and maybe even if it's just a diversification of the companies, something that could get some fruition. And do you have the support for the bill? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've been working with a couple of colleagues very closely that I think not only have also identified the issue, but have worked it from different angles. So, yeah, it seems to be something that in this Congress we're going to get done. We're
going to follow it. Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, it's always great to speak with you, sir. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you.
We'll be watching your work today.